I wasn't supposed to find the bus. At 3 a.m., West Terminal should have been silent, the screens blank. I was ready to walk home when the board flickered and added a line that hadn't been there a second earlier. 17. Route. Last bus. A bus waited outside. Paint faded, windows fogged from the inside. The sign above the windshield simply read 317. I climbed aboard before asking why only 3 passengers. A woman in a courier jacket holding a parcel like a baby. A man in a perfect suit staring into nothing. And a teenager in a hoodie. Restless but pretending not to be scared. The driver wore an old cap pulled low, a face carved from angles and shadow. Without turning, he closed the doors and said, "Tickets." The woman lifted her parcel. The suited man handed over a blank business card. The teen searched his pockets and produced a bent punch card. The driver nodded, tearing a scrap from some unseen ledger and giving it to him. Then his eyes found me. "Monthly pass," I lied, showing my phone. The screen was black except for the frozen time. 3:16. The colon didn't blink. The driver pressed a coin into my hand, round, heavy, with a hole in the center. "We'll sort yours at the stop," he said. The bus rolled out of the terminal and into streets that didn't exist. Blocks repeated in strange variations. The same pharmacy 3 times, the same diner with 3 different names. The windows fogged at the corners, as if the bus didn't want us to look too closely. The bell dinged. "First stop," the driver announced. He nodded at the woman. She stood, parcel shaking in her arms, and stepped out. Outside was my old neighborhood, but years younger. Curtains in the windows I hadn't seen since childhood. The maple tree still small. She walked to a door and disappeared. The bus waited until the porch light came on, then moved. The second stop belonged to the man in the suit. The doors opened on a steakhouse I half recognized, except the sign above the door kept changing. My boss's name, then my father's, then a blank. "You didn't," the driver said softly, "but you do." The man nodded like someone surrendering and left. Only me and the teen remained. "When's my stop?" he asked. "Last before last," the driver said. "Unless you get clever. Clever costs extra." The kid laughed, but it was nervous. We rode in silence. The city outside bent into strange shapes. Warehouses, all named after birds. Bridges whose girders spelled words if you stared long enough. My coin grew warmer in my palm. Then the bell rang again. "A third stop," the driver said. "Yours." The doors opened on the hospital. The yellow lines, the disinfectant smell. The automatic doors sighing open to reveal fluorescent light. The name above the entrance was one I'd been avoiding for months. My chest tightened. "I can't," I whispered. My feet refused to move. The driver didn't argue. "Oh, you already did," he said. "Now you will or you won't. Both are expensive." Through the glass I saw movement. Nurses in scrubs smoking under the wrong sign. A gurney paused in the hall. Somewhere inside, laughter, too soft for this hour. I knew what waited down those halls. The night I had postponed until it became permanent. "I'll stay," I said. The doors closed without complaint. The bus slid back into the dark. The kid let out a shaky breath. "So we just keep going?" "For a while," the driver said. Then we stop again." The city fell behind. The placard above the windshield clicked once, then froze again at the same time. 317. My coin cooled in my hand. The driver watched the road with the patience of someone who had done this too many nights. I leaned back against the seat, clutching the coin, trying not to think about what would happen at the next stop. And that's when the driver cleared his throat, reached for the lever, and said quietly, "Fourth stop." Already waiting. The bus rolled on, smoother than any city street should allow. I clutched a strange coin in my palm, as if metal could anchor me. The placard above the windshield still blinked the same impossible time. 317. It hadn't moved since I boarded. The driver's face stayed neutral, eyes fixed on the road. But there was no road. The windows showed flickering versions of places I half remembered. Blocks I'd walked years ago. Alleys I'd cut through to save minutes. Corners where I kissed someone whose name I couldn't say now without choking. The city wasn't real. It was memory shuffled into architecture. "Fourth stop," the driver murmured, almost kindly. The bell dinged on its own. The door slid open. The teenager shifted uneasily. "Is it mine?" The driver shook his head. "No, not yet." I looked outside. The street was narrow, lit by a single flickering lamp. I recognized it instantly. The bakery near the apartment I'd once shared. I could smell the sugar and yeast, feel the warmth of ovens against the dawn. A block where I'd carried furniture upstairs, convinced love could be built from tired bodies and cheap wood. She stood there, in the glow of the lamp, hair tied back, scarf loose around her neck. She lifted her hand and waved as if this were the most natural thing in the world. I rose halfway out of my seat. That's... The driver's hand flicked toward the lever. Clever, he said softly. Costs extra. What happens if I... Don't ask questions you already know the answers to. The teenager leaned forward, eyes wide. Who is she? No one you need to know, I snapped, sharper than I meant. My throat was tight. My feet itched toward the aisle, but I stayed frozen. Outside, she smiled once more, patient, forgiving. Then the bus lurched forward, pulling me away, and she blurred into the dark. The doors closed with finality. I sat back down, shaking. The teen studied me. You were scared. Shut up, I muttered. Though he wasn't wrong, the driver didn't comment. He drove like a priest guarding a secret. Every turn, deliberate. After a long silence, he announced, 5th stop, the bell chimed. The bus slowed. The doors opened onto a block of warehouses with names I didn't recognize. Yet one detail hooked into me. Graffiti scrawled across a wall, exactly as it had been the night I threw my first punch. My knuckles throbbed in phantom memory. This one's mine, the boy said quietly. He stood with surprising calm, tucking his hood tighter. He didn't look back at me or the driver. Just before stepping down, he whispered, Thanks. For what? I asked. For showing me it's real. The driver didn't stop him. The boy disappeared into the alley. A moment later, his silhouette flickered against the warehouse wall. Then gone. The bus exhaled lighter. Only me and the driver now. You didn't stop him, I said. Not my job to stop, the driver replied. Only to drive. I shifted the coin in my palm. Well, then why give me this? He finally looked at me in the mirror. His eyes were pale, almost grey. Because you'll need it when it counts. The words sat heavy in my chest. I wanted to ask when that would be, but I already knew the answer. Soon. We drove through silence, the kind that presses against your eardrums. Streets unfolded that couldn't belong to the same city. One moment we were by a river under bridges older than the skyline. The next we rolled past glass towers rising from vacant lots. Each place blurred into the next like someone changing slides too fast. Finally, the bus slowed. The bell dinged. 6th stop, the driver said. His voice was softer now, almost sympathetic. The doors opened. Outside, the hospital again. Same yellow lines. Same disinfectant smell drifting through the air. Same automatic doors breathing open and closed. But this time, a figure stood framed in the glow of the entrance. It was me, a younger version. Face drawn, shoulders hunched, eyes burning from nights without sleep. He looked right at me. He held the same coin in his palm, turning it nervously. His mouth opened as if to speak, but the sound didn't carry through the glass. The driver didn't say anything. He didn't need to. I felt every muscle tense. My throat worked around words I couldn't speak. My double outside raised the coin, tilting it so the light caught the hole in the center. It glowed faintly, pulsing like a heart. My chest ached in reply. The driver pulled the lever. The door stayed open. The world seemed to hold its breath. My reflection, my other self, took one step closer until the automatic doors slid wider behind him, spilling light onto the pavement. Go on, the driver murmured. He's been waiting. I stood, legs trembling. The air smelled sharp, antiseptic, like endings disguised as beginnings. My hand clenched around the coin until the edges dug into my skin. One more step and I'd be outside. One more step and I'd meet myself. I hesitated. Behind me, the bus engine rumbled like a heartbeat. Ahead, my reflection smiled sadly, as if he already knew what choice I'd make. The doors hissed, ready to close. The driver whispered my name, perfectly, intimately. And then, from inside the hospital corridor, a voice called out. A voice I knew too well. My father's, come in, son. Don't be late this time. The sound shattered me. My coin slipped in my grip. The doors began to seal shut. The doors almost closed on me. At the last second, I pulled back into my seat, clutching the coin until my palm ached. The voice from the hospital, my father's, echoed in my head. I didn't look at the driver, afraid he'd confirm what I already suspected. That the voice was real, that it had been waiting for me all along. The bus moved again. Just me and the driver now. No more passengers, no more distractions. The city outside dissolved into corridors of light and shadow. Sometimes it looked like streets I'd known. Other times, just endless dark, stitched with faint glimmers like headlights from other worlds. The placard above the windshield flickered. 317, 317, always the same. You're almost there, the driver said. Almost where? He didn't answer. Instead, he reached up and adjusted the mirror so that it reflected me perfectly. My tired eyes, my clenched jaw, the coin burning in my hand. Some people never make it this far, he added. Others don't know what to do when they do. Do what? I asked, but he'd already turned his attention back to the road that wasn't a road. The bus slowed. The bell chimed on its own. 7th stop, he said. Final before final. The doors opened. Outside was a street I recognized instantly, my own. My apartment building stood under the orange glow of a lamp that hummed softly, just like it always did. My window was lit, blinds half open, as though someone were inside. And there, yes there, was movement in the window. A figure pacing back and forth. It was me, older, heavier around the eyes. He wore the same shirt I'd left crumpled on the chair before going out tonight. He looked restless, trapped, waiting for something or someone. He turned toward the window and froze. His gaze locked on the bus, on me. And then he raised his hand in a small wave, tired but deliberate, as if to say, I see you. I've always seen you. I felt the urge to step out, to meet him, to collapse the distance between the me that rides and the me that waits. But the driver's voice cut through the moment. Careful, he said. Well, that one wants to trade places. My chest tightened. What happens if I do? The driver sighed. Then you'll stand in that window until another version of you passes by. Forever watching, never leaving. The figure in the window nodded, confirming the truth. His hand pressed flat against the glass, pleading. For release. For company. For anything, I stayed seated. The doors closed. The bus moved on. The driver gave me a glance in the mirror. Approval? Pity? Hard to say. The darkness outside shifted, folding into itself. We passed no more streets, no more buildings. Just an expanse of black that seemed to breathe. And then ahead a single platform appeared, lit by one pale lamp. A sign hung above it in letters that bent the eyes. Last stop. The bus slowed to a crawl. The driver pulled the lever, and the doors opened with a hiss that felt like a final exhale. This is it, he said. At the end of the line. I rose slowly, coin still in hand. What happens here? You'll give me that, he said, nodding to the coin. And then you'll choose. Choose what? Whether you step off or ride again. The platform stretched into nothing. Beyond it, only dark. The air smelled like cold stone, like the breath of a cave. The silence was total. Even the engine seemed to hold itself still, afraid to intrude. I turned the coin over in my palm. Smooth edges, hollow center. It pulsed faintly with each beat of my heart. And if I ride again? I asked. The driver's eyes met mine in the mirror. Then you'll return to the beginning. Same bus, same time, same choices. Until you get it right. And if I step off? He didn't smile. And then you leave the bus, for good. No more loops. I looked at the platform, then back at the empty rows of seats behind me. I thought of the woman with the parcel, the man in the suit, the boy in the hoodie. Each of them stepping into their stops, facing what waited. Had they broken free? Or just shifted into another corridor of the same dream? I stepped to the threshold. The lamp buzzed overhead. My hand trembled with the weight of the coin. For a moment, I considered dropping it into the driver's box, ending the ride. But something held me back. Fear, hope, the memory of my father's voice, calling me into the hospital. Choose, the driver whispered. Not a command, just inevitability. I closed my fist around the coin. I turned toward the platform. And then, at the very last second, I stepped back inside. The doors closed. The driver didn't react. He simply put the bus into gear, eyes steady on the road ahead. The placard above the windshield flickered, then reset. 317, always 317. The engine hummed, the same as before. The window showed the blur of the city assembling itself once more. Stations, streets, lives waiting to be replayed. I sat back down, the coin still burning in my palm. And just like that, the bus carried me forward again into the dark. Into the loop. The bell dinged. Next stop, the driver announced gently. Hospital.